You've probably heard of Ozempic. Maybe a friend is on it. Maybe your doctor mentioned it. Maybe you've seen the jokes on social media about celebrities suddenly looking very different. But here's what almost nobody is talking about. What Ozempic actually does inside your body. Not the brand name, not the drama. The real science. Because once you understand the mechanism, a lot of things make sense. Why it works so well for weight loss. Why it changes how food feels. Why some people swear by it and others stop after a few weeks. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how Ozempic works, from the moment you inject it, all the way to the brain signals that change what hunger even feels like. Let's start from the beginning. Ozempic's active ingredient is called semaglutide. That's the actual molecule doing all the work. Ozempic is just the brand name for the diabetes version of it. Wegovy is the same molecule at a higher dose, marketed specifically for weight loss. Same drug, different box, different dose. Semaglutide belongs to a class of medications called GLP-1 receptor agonists. That's a mouthful, so let's break it down, because this is where the real story begins. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a hormone your body already makes, naturally. Right now, as you're listening to this, your gut is producing GLP-1, and it's been doing that your entire life. Most people have never heard of it, but it's quietly controlling a huge part of how your body handles food every single day. Here's what GLP-1 normally does. When you eat a meal, your gut starts releasing GLP-1 into your bloodstream within minutes. And when GLP-1 rises, it sends a signal to your pancreas saying, "Food is here. Release insulin." Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells so glucose, sugar from your food, can enter them and be used as energy. Without that signal, blood sugar stays too high. That's essentially what type 2 diabetes is, a system where that signaling has broken down. But here's the catch. Natural GLP-1 is fragile. Your body breaks it down in about 2 minutes. It does its job and it's gone almost immediately. That's where the engineering comes in. Semaglutide is designed to look like GLP-1. It binds to the same receptors, triggers the same responses, but it's been built to resist the enzyme that would normally break it down. Instead of lasting 2 minutes, it lasts a full week inside your body. That's why Ozempic is a once-weekly injection. One shot and the effects persist for 7 days. The drug is doing what your body already does, just slower, longer, and far more consistently. It's not inventing a new mechanism, it's taking one you already have and stretching it out. Now, the insulin piece matters. In people with diabetes, this steadier signaling helps keep blood sugar under control, and that's genuinely important. It lowers the risk of long-term damage to the eyes, kidneys, and nerves. But honestly, the insulin effect isn't why most people are talking about Ozempic. The reason Ozempic became a cultural phenomenon is what it does to hunger. And to understand that, we need to talk about two things, your stomach and your brain. Let's start with the stomach. One of GLP-1's effects is to slow down something called gastric emptying, the rate at which food moves from your stomach into your small intestine. Normally, your stomach processes a meal fairly quickly and starts sending hunger signals back within a couple of hours. That's why you can eat lunch at noon and feel hungry again by 3 or 4 in the afternoon. On semaglutide, that timeline stretches out. The food stays in your stomach much longer. You feel full for longer. You're not thinking about snacks at 3 p.m. because your body genuinely hasn't moved on from lunch yet. People on Ozempic often describe eating half their usual portion and feeling completely satisfied. Not willpower, not discipline. Their stomach is sending a real physical signal of fullness that simply wasn't there before. That's not a placebo, that's biology. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because Ozempic doesn't just work on your stomach, it works on your brain. GLP-1 receptors exist in several areas of the brain, particularly in a region called the hypothalamus, which regulates appetite, energy balance, and reward. And when semaglutide activates those receptors, it changes the brain's relationship with food. People on Ozempic frequently report something that surprised their doctors. They stop thinking about food as much. Not just that they're less hungry, the constant mental chatter about food, what's in the fridge, what they'll eat later, craving something sweet after dinner, it quiets down. Researchers believe this is because GLP-1 receptors in the brain's reward center are being activated. Food simply feels less urgent, less compelling. The noise goes down. This matters because for many people with obesity, the struggle isn't just about calories. It's about intrusive, relentless food thoughts that are exhausting to manage. Ozempic appears to reduce that burden in a way that goes beyond just feeling full. Some people describe it like someone finally turned the volume down. So to recap what's happening when someone takes Ozempic, their pancreas gets a cleaner insulin signal, which helps keep blood sugar stable. Their stomach empties more slowly, so they feel full longer after eating. And their brain receives signals that reduce appetite and lower the urgency they feel around food. Three separate mechanisms, all from the same weekly injection. That's why the weight loss results in clinical trials were unlike anything the field had seen before. In the STEP trials, large clinical studies on semaglutide, participants lost an average of 15% of their body weight over 68 weeks. Some lost significantly more. For context, previous weight loss medications averaged around 5 to 8%. Diet and exercise alone typically produce 3 to 5%. Semaglutide more than doubled what was considered possible with a medication. Now I want to talk about something that often gets left out, because Ozempic is usually presented as either a miracle or a scandal, and the reality is more nuanced. First, side effects are real. The most common ones are gastrointestinal, nausea, vomiting, constipation, or diarrhea, especially in the first few weeks as your body adjusts to slower gastric emptying. For most people, these improve over time, but for some, they're significant enough that they stop the medication. There's also a serious but rare risk called pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas. And because of findings in animal studies, Ozempic carries a warning about a rare type of thyroid cancer. Those findings were in rodents, with no confirmed link in humans, but it means Ozempic isn't recommended for people with a personal or family history of certain thyroid cancers. This is not a drug you start without a real conversation with your doctor. The other thing worth understanding is what happens when you stop. Ozempic doesn't cure anything. It manages. When people stop taking semaglutide, hunger tends to return. Weight often comes back, sometimes most of it. The brain goes back to baseline. The stomach empties at its normal rate again. This isn't a failure of willpower. It's just how the drug works. It creates an ongoing effect that requires ongoing use. Similar to blood pressure medication, it works as long as you take it. This doesn't mean Ozempic isn't worth it. It absolutely can be. But it's important to go in with realistic expectations rather than hoping it's a permanent fix. Here's the most important takeaway. Ozempic works because it's exploiting a real natural system in your body, your gut hormone, your insulin response, your brain's reward circuitry. These aren't foreign mechanisms. They're things your body already has. What semaglutide does is amplify and prolong those signals in a way your body alone can't sustain. For millions with type 2 diabetes, that's been genuinely life-changing. Better blood sugar control, lower cardiovascular risk, more energy, real results. For people using it for weight loss, it's been similarly transformative, though the conversation around access, cost, and long-term use is ongoing and complicated. The science itself, though, is remarkable. And understanding it, really understanding it, not just the headlines, puts you in a much better position to talk to your doctor about whether this is right for you. That's everything for today's video. If you found this useful, subscribe. We cover medical science in plain language here, twice a week without the noise. Next up, what actually happens inside your body during a heart attack, minute by minute. It's not what most people think. See you in the next one.